Sean Payton is a god. I mean, on just in terms. Now, the defense is elite. I do not want to get it lost. Jake told you last week. Jake agrees with the assertion that this is a Super Bowl caliber defense. So obviously that is what is actually driving all of these wins. That said, the fact that you are able, in a league, Jake, filled with sputtering offenses that cannot get out of their own way, the fact that you are able to score points when you have Trevor Siemian throwing to Kevin White and Alex Armand, no disrespect to fullbacks, love seeing it, Garrett Griffin. I mean, if you go back and watch the Kevin White catch yesterday, what's his name? Who's thinking? Why am I playing? Joe Buck. Joe Buck was like, who are these guys? I mean, that was the exact feeling of yesterday's game. And so the fact that Sean Payton's able to put points on the board with this offense speaks, and he's got Alvin Kamara and everything, but just what an incredible design, execution, understanding of personnel, how to put that personnel in positions to succeed. It's everything that you always beg for out of your football coach. You're getting out of Sean Payton right now.
I mean, it's amazing what he's been able to do with the offensive weapons that they have. I mean, you went through the list, but like when you pull up the box score and you truly see it, and it's like your leading receiver had one catch for 38 yards, but you know, as a team, you had 22 catches and you had 250. Yeah,
he was the leading receiver.
Yeah, one for 38. And so you look at it though, and you spread around 22 catches somehow, some way, but the leading guy's got 38.
What?
But you do it, and you find different guys and get them open, and you scheme them open. It's one of the best coaching jobs that I can remember. It truly is.
Yeah, and look, and I think Sean Payton's also worth mentioning because people got upset with him at the end of that game when they're in the red zone, under 2 minutes left, and he decides to throw the ball with Trevor Siemian instead of running it. I kind of want to pick your brain there, Jake. I agree maybe the ideal, or I can see the argument that the ideal situation is there. You run it on first down, see what happens, and then make your decision. I also, though, do want to acknowledge, let's look at the logic that Sean Payton's employing here, because it's logic that we would all agree with if maybe our team wasn't involved, where, okay, let's say you run that ball 3 times and you get stopped and you kick the field goal. You're giving Brady the ball back with a minute left and no timeouts. He doesn't need timeouts. A minute is more than enough time for him. So what Sean Payton's telling you there is, look, I think the value of scoring a touchdown and putting this thing more out of reach is greater, potentially out of reach, is greater than the difference between Brady having a minute and a half and 2 timeouts and a minute with no timeouts. He's saying that either way, Brady's like he doesn't like the odds that Brady's probably going to get that done. Now we all know what the defense ended up doing, but I'm saying I can't fault that logic, because what do you always see with Tom Brady? It's all the old jokes against like Brady or Rodgers, like, oh, you scored too fast, you left too much time on the clock. Sean was just acknowledging that reality and saying, I think I'm going to call plays that can score a touchdown. Now, it didn't work, and they got the ball back with the 2 timeouts and everything. But, hey, the defense, the Super Bowl caliber defense, came through for you in the end. And, man, P.J. Williams with the pick 6, like I said, the best Halloween trick-or-treat gift possible.
Yeah, you have to change your logic anytime you're going against Tom Brady. Like, probably things you normally wouldn't do, because just we've seen it too many times. You leave him any amount of time, and 8 times out of 10, it seems like he finds a way. Now, he didn't, which is great, but you do have to change your every coach has a sheet. Every coach has a sheet and what they do in certain situations. But I would assume the TB12 version of that looks a little bit different when you're going against him and you're trying to do things, win a game, and they're not expecting it and all those type of things. So that's probably not what in fact, it's not what he normally would do, but because of who's on the other sideline, then you change your logic.
Exactly. And that's the type of context and attention to detail and everything else that I think you want out of your NFL head coach. Also, I feel like so weird, and this is probably me just not being very good at this job, because I know how clearly elite Sean Payton is. I do find it very hard to ever come out and just outright be like, that was wrong. Like, I think maybe sometimes there are times where I end up feeling that way, but it's very funny to me watching all of the Twitter people sit there and just try to tell Sean Payton like this was unequivocally wrong in some of these situations. Her guy Moscona included there. Tampa, I thought that I thought that Tampa kind of shot themselves in the foot with some horrible penalties. I thought the crowd was great. I mean, Ty Montgomery agreed. How about this tweet? Shout out New Orleans Saints. Shout out Superdome over Lambeau Field, the place where Ty Montgomery played a lot of football. Montgomery tweeted, bruh, the Superdome is by far my favorite place to play. It's a party in that joint every game. Who Dat Nation, I love you. And I guess, first off, that's awesome. Screw Green Bay. But on top of that, what I like is that Sean Payton called out the crowd a little bit after the game.
Yeah.
He actually said that here's a direct quote from John Hendricks on Twitter. Quote, I think we've had 2 home games that have been unremarkable, if you want to know the truth. So Sean Payton immediately challenging the Who Dat Nation to be better. When's the next home game? I haven't looked at the schedule.
This Sunday, the Falcons. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. There you go. Falcons at home this Sunday. I know from working that New Orleans news cycle, WWL will hammer this thing all week long, like a rallying of the troops. A challenge will be thrown down to everybody in that dome. Get as loud as you can. What's funny, though, Jake, I think part of the reason why Payton said it was because they were booing him with the red zone calls. So it was just a little tit for tat.
Yeah.
Just coaching in the masses, kind of going back and forth a little bit, which I love. I love it. And as I said, maybe the crowd was a bit out of practice. First home win in front of a crowd since 2019, dude.
Yeah, hey, they gotta work their way into it. They gotta get a feel for it. It's okay, they'll be fine. I guarantee you, this game coming up against the Falcons, a team they don't like, a team that's not very good right now. I know they had a little bit of hope, and then they laid another egg yesterday against the Panthers. They'll be fine.
Yeah, it's gonna be so loud on Sunday. Oh my God, dude! With Trevor Siemian at quarterback, I guess, or maybe Taysom Hill. Let's talk about Jameis, the quarterback situation, everything when we get back here on Off the Bench. OTB, Hold the Mayo and others who were in the dome saying it was crazy at the end. Yeah, look, Sean Payton is the petty king, right? Y'all booed him for the red zone. He might just be taking a little bit of a shot. But Sean Payton is also a man who does love and care for this team to the point where he was talking in postgame and they asked him how sad you were about Jameis Winston. He said that he actually cried, that he broke down into tears when he saw Jameis, which also, look, all the signs are looking like Jameis is out for the year, right? I mean, we did that as not confirmed. That's not for sure, but it was I think Rappaport or maybe Pelissar, one of the ESPN or one of the NFL main reporters, tweeting that it appears to be significant and that the kind of early thought is that it's likely season ending. And when you look at how it went down, it was pretty nasty in the way that the knee bent. And you hear that story from Payton, and well, that could be the case. So, Jake, how are you? I mean, for me personally, I'm feeling really sad about Jameis. I felt like everything was starting to come together. He was looking more and more comfortable in some ways. He was running the ball very well once again in this game early on. The touchdown pass to Traquan Smith was a thing of beauty. It's something that I don't know. I mean, it's not the craziest arm strength throw, but it was just a perfectly placed throw. Like, I don't know if Trevor Siemian and the others can make that throw. So it's sad on multiple levels. It feels like he's worked very hard to get to this point. Now he was the quarterback of the team. Everything was moving in the right direction. And then now not only is this year much more murky and potentially more limited now, Jake, but like, who knows what the long-term future of Jameis looks like now? Because he's still on a one-year deal, right? I'm not crazy, right? There's nothing beyond that. And he's played well. And so who knows how the market shakes out, what happens with the Saints at quarterback. Like this, unfortunately, I don't know. Maybe this is the end of his time in New Orleans, which would be a huge bummer because I really wanted to see this thing get to fully play out. I mean, we never even got to see him with Mike Thomas.
No, you didn't. And obviously the Saints quarterback future, nobody really knows what it looks like now. They don't have a great history, obviously, of drafting first-round quarterbacks, but it's going to be obviously a conversation in the offseason. And now it's, okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to roll with Taysom, which we know Sean Payton loves, obviously Taysom Hill when he gets back, and is that going to be the answer? And then you have Siemian, and then you'll go sign a young guy, whoever to be that number 3.
Do you think they'll let Ian Book be the 3, or do they keep him on practice squad? Maybe. I think they've been jumping him from the roster kind of.
I mean, it makes sense just to bring him up. I mean, so if you still have 2 quarterbacks that you feel decent about. I mean, that have been starters in the NFL. It's just, do they go make a move? I personally don't think that they do because of Sean Payton's love for Taysom Hill and the fact that he has been a starter in his system before and all the things that we know. So I don't think they go and do something. I mean, because what are you going to do now? Like at this point, what are you going to go do? Who are you going to bring in? You're not giving up 3 first-round picks for anybody. So
if only you could go in a time machine and get Mike White. Well, look, we got more Mike White talk coming up because Mike White is about to have the Eye of Sauron, which is the New York news cycle solely focused on him for the next few days, and it's going to be intense. If you're wondering who Mike White is, that's the Jets quarterback that just threw for 400 yards in his first NFL start and somehow beat the Bengals 37-34. I think that was the final score. Either way, we'll talk more Mike White later. I don't think you make a move here. So, and I think you're right there, too. I mean, Taysom Hill becomes the quarterback. Because there is it's the same thing we went through last year. I was like, no, I thought that Jameis would be the quarterback after Drew because what Taysom represented to the team. Now, Sean Payton had some promises with Hill, but I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. That's why they played him. I think they probably just felt more comfortable with Hill as the quarterback last season. So I don't know. You think that Hill comes back and he's under center when he's healthy?
Yeah, I just look. He was the guy before. He's going to be the guy now. It just we have too much history that shows us what Sean Payton and how he views Taysom Hill to not think he's not going to be the starting quarterback.
That's fair. That's fair. What do you think about Trevor Siemian though? Did you ever? I mean, you probably know him a bit better than most.
Trevor
kind of
Siemian's,
watching
I
him
think
in
he's
Denver.
he is a very solid backup to have. He is someone that can come in and do exactly what he did yesterday. He was a true starter in Denver for, years.
Yeah.
So it's great to have somebody like this on the roster because not a lot of times would your 3B Trevor Siemian, but because you had Taysom Hill and because of the packages that he ran as your number 2, you needed a veteran quarterback in case Taysom got hurt, which he did, and now you go to Trevor Siemian and not Ian Book.
A lot of people in the chat calling for Matt Flynn. What do you think? You think he'll?
I saw him overthrow a kindergartner a couple weeks ago. Okay, I don't know if his accuracy is on point anymore.
Damn, the arm's gone like that. I mean, the end comes fast for us all, dude. Okay, so I think we've talked enough about the offense. So, unless anybody else wants to add anything offensively, anybody?
Deontay Harris being back was big.
Yes,
The reverse to set up the game-winning field goal was a huge play in the game.
He had a lot of plays. His offensive rise remains very impressive. I mean,
it's just when you have that type of skill set and when you have that speed, it's just it's something that you just can't put a price on. I mean,
don't want to go without this. The block by Adam Troutman. On the belly flip, fourth and goal. Fourth and goal was,
3 minutes long.
I mean, dude, when Kamara bobbled that ball, I think I had a mini panic attack, and it did not matter because Adam Troutman had Levante David on lock, dude, on lock. Like that was wild. So shout out to Adam Troutman, deserves credit for that. Look, so that's all the offense, dude. But really, like I said, the driving force behind the win was the defense. And you could tell that Sean Payton's starting to know this, right? Because it's why you go for that first 4th down. I think it was on the first drive when you were at about the, your own 45, like somewhere in that range. You go for that because you trust in your defense and you trust that sort of aggressive decision-making will pay off in the future. And look, Demario Davis continues to show that he's an elite linebacking pass rusher. Well, he's elite at everything, right? But I do love watching him rush the passer. Marcus Davenport continues to make a huge difference. Still not getting home as much. Cam Jordan had one of my favorite plays in football, which is the little tap, sack, force fumble. That's all you got to do, right? I mean, you get home, you just tap it out of the quarterback's hands. You get a sack, you get a forced fumble. It's great for the stat sheet. So Cam gets home once again. You get the big turnover there. CD Deuce with the big pick. I mean, Dennis Allen's crew was rocking, Jake.
I'm telling you, they are an elite unit. Like they just have so many different pieces, and they have them on all 3 levels. That's the thing. Like if you're going to be elite, you got to have guys on all 3 levels, and they're only going to get more healthy on the defensive front. And their linebacking core is. I mean, we've talked about obviously Davis, but just having Quan. Quan gets a sack yesterday, and Pete Warner had 13 tackles a couple of weeks ago, and you have really put together just a solid 3-level defense that, and even when guys get hurt, they seem to step up, the guys that come in. And the defensive backs, that was a question all season long, and every one of those guys has stepped up, raised their level of play, and they're playing at a very high level. So this is an elite defense. You're not going to have any success running the ball against them. You're just not. Like yesterday, Tampa Bay as a team only had 71 yards.
Oof.
You're not going to do that.
So
that's like automatic.
Dude.
That's like if you show up, you know you're not going to get that, so you better get it through the air.
And I know they're good on the interior as well, but that is, I mean, a lot of that is having those just giant bodies that are Marcus Davenport and Cam Jordan out there. And Tano Passanio's been a great signing for this team, and he's so tall to be playing in the interior, but he's played great this season. How about David Onyemata on the fumble recovery? So welcome back, Onyemata. And how about this in terms of to your elite defense point, Jake? This comes from Jeff Duncan on Twitter. In 21, let's look at the regular seasons of 2020 and 2021. Okay, in 21 games, Tom Brady has thrown just 10 picks in 839 attempts. That's just one pick per 84 attempts, basically. That's in 21 games. In 3 games against the Saints, in that same stretch, he has 7 picks in just 114 attempts. So from 1 in every 84 to 1 in every 16 against this New Orleans Saints defense. Whatever it is, and I know he got him in the playoffs last year. So, we can't go too crazy with this.
Yeah.
But for whatever it is, in the regular season, Dennis Allen's crew kind of kills Tom Brady.
No,
He just can't figure him out.
I mean, outside of the playoff game, I mean, obviously that's the one that you wish they could have had this type of success they have against Tom, but they just do really well against this style of offense. And look, they've been doing well against almost every style of offense, but outside of that one game, I mean, they have got a blueprint on how to slow down Tom Brady when nobody else has been able to figure it out. And look, and I know he certainly had some moments. He threw for almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns and completed, 28 of 40. I get that,
Yeah.
but it was the moments that they made him throw the ball to the other team, throw the ball to them, and then they got after him just enough. So they did it against Tom Brady. That's good.
So I'm sure that we all had the Saints at 5-2 through 7 games with wins over the Packers and Bucks and losses to the Giants and Panthers, right? That makes a lot of sense, right? That what a weird topsy-turvy kind of year it's already been
In the NFL in general, though.
NFL in general, that is true. I mean, the Jets-Bengals yesterday, what? Chargers-Patriots even.
Yeah.
Every time.
I mean, the Bills were struggling with the Dolphins it's like it was 3-3.
Yeah.
They're like, what is going on here?
The what else was an odd one? Not as odd given how the season's going, but if you would have told us preseason, right, what the Steelers did to the Browns, kind of just the overall Browns fall from grace. I mean, feel horrible for that fan base. It looks like they're just, and I've gone through that with the Pelicans, right, where they you have that playoff year and you get your hopes up and you think you're going to build off it, and then you just revert back to being exactly who you've always been. And so I feel you, Browns fans. It's a really, really poor feeling. It's a very defeating long-term sort of feeling, but the Browns feel like they're kind of done as well. So the NFL's weird, man. But you know who understands how to win in the NFL? Sean Payton.
Yep.
And they continue to do so. 5-2, second place because of the bye week in the NFC South, but now with a head-to-head advantage over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Great job by the New Orleans Saints. When we get back here on Off the Bench, let's go ahead and wrap up our number 1 of all.